Hello everyone, Don here with the short update on the WAR Corsair project. Last week I didn't get enough done to bother trying to make a video. I can't remember if the last weekend was decent or not, but I've been doing some little stuff here and there. I didn't manage to get to the door on the cowling yet. Last week, that's what it was, I was busy with getting all the paperwork together so I could get my final inspection through the FAA done. So, but this weekend I was working on the wings. I'll show you the details on that, but let me first show you what I was able to do last weekend. Last weekend I finally heard back from the FAA, and they sent me a circular, they called it, and it was a 60-page circular on how to fill out this application and everything I was going to need to be required to get the final inspection on the airplane. So this one here is a copy of the U.S. Airworthiness Certificate. This is a 2-page sheet. I didn't show you the second one, but this is the blank form that I printed out to keep on hand. So you needed to file this, and then there was a second form that went with it with some simple questions, address. It asked, weight, height, age, hair color, eye color, and everything of the pilot and the builder, and it needed if I had the the registration and all that filled out. So that went with this one. So there was this and then a second page, and then it wanted a copy of a weight and balance. So this is the weight and balance that I came up with. What I did is I had a bunch of files in my computer. I went through and I looked for a decent image of a Corsair, as you see here. This was a two view. It had this view and it had a top view with the wingspan and everything on it showing it. So what I did is I stuck it in Microsoft Paint, and I went in there and used the eraser function. I erased everything off of that drawing that I didn't need, and I just left this behind. It already had a line drawn for the tail wheel and the mains and stuff, but I went ahead and added my datum point that I'm using on the airplane is 10 inches from the propeller flange, which is basically back here. So that's where my datum 0 is. Then back to the main gear is 56.5 inches. My fuel, which is right in front of the cockpit, but as you see it's only 50 inches in the manger, so the fuel tank is literally more up here, but just to use this drawing. And then the pilot's location, and then my little storage compartment in the back, and then a tail wheel. Then I went through and made up this chart here. You got the mains, tail wheel, airframe total, empty CG weights, the weights of the aircraft, the arm, the moment. So you take the weight times the arm gives you a moment. So the tail wheel only had 10 pounds on it. This is empty, no pilot, no fuel, and you end up with these numbers. Well, then you take and come down to this line, and this is where you'll add in how much weight you have for fuel times the arm will give you a moment. This is the part you would fill out for you, and then your pilot weight times the arm get your moment. Storage, if you have anything in there, what distance of that in the moment, and you add these totals all up with this total up here to get this grand total. Same here, you take this final total here, airframe total, and you add it to these moment totals to get this grand total, and then you can calculate your CG. And then you have to add the empty CG totals to the load totals. Like I said, you add these totals and these totals to get the final total. And then I got some little footnotes here. Forward CG limit 59 inches from the datum line, which is the 10 inches in front of the prop flange. Aft CG limit 63 and basically 3/8. Gear up moves the CG back 1.2 inches, so you have to add that to this number to get a total CG aft. Fuel's 15 gallons max, gross weight of 1,200 pounds. So I made that all up. And then the last thing is, after I get the inspection done, I have to fill out, I've already got this filled out, but this is just a blank copy. This is to get your airman certificate and or rating. This is to get repair certificate is what this is for. After I need the airworthiness certificate number in order to put on this form before I can submit this. But what this will do is this will allow me to do my own annuals and maintenance on this airplane as long as I own it. Or even if I sell it to somebody else, I can still go and do the annual inspections for the new owner with this airman repairman certificate. So I got that all filled out, ready to go in until I get the last information. So, but anyway, we had a meeting Wednesday night at our local EAA chapter, and we had two guys from the FAAST, the FAA Safety Training Program, I think it's called. The guys came up to introduce themselves to all of us, and they're new to the Pittsburgh region. But they're in charge of doing safety stuff. So they came up, and after we had the meeting, I had all this information in a packet and showed it to the guy who's the mechanic, Steven Steele, and he was able to take everything from me and hand deliver it to Pittsburgh. So the application, everything's in for them to come up and inspect the airplane. Now all I'm doing is waiting on them to give me a call back to set up a date and time. So what I did this weekend, this is the second wing. The first wing over there I did already, but here this one I think I already had cut out in 2 locations. But what that does is allows me to get back in there to the bell crank. So if I ever need to check it for inspection, instead of cutting a hole in the wing, you can see it just fine from here. So you've got your push rods in there, you can see it working, and then comes out here. And then what I did is also I added a strip of wood here. As you can see, it's about a 1/2 inch wide, and that's where my final cover is going to go. It'll screw down to this wood. So after I did that, whenever I mix up epoxy, I never throw it away. I always use it. So I took and wiped all this down. This was pretty much plain wood. So I wiped it all in epoxy to seal it all in. All the foam, all the plywood, and this new piece of here. And I used some screws to hold this in place. I may or may not take those out after it sets good. Still a little tacky from yesterday, but it was kind of cool overnight. But it's setting up. It should be good. So, and then I finally did cut this out. This is the area where I got to be able to get in here and get onto the nuts for the bolts that go through here to hold the wing on. Ideally, you want the bolts to go this way, but it's a little too crowded in there to try and run the bolts through from this way. They're easier to put in from here and the nuts there. And I'm going to make some compression bushings fit in here. It doesn't call for it in the plans, but I got some 3/4, 1 inch aluminum. These only need to be 2 inches. I need 4 pieces, and I'll bore them out just a little over 3/8 of an inch. So they'll fit in there and the bolts pass through fine. So when you tighten this down on the wings, it won't crush and try to pull these in. So 2 there, and then I got some 3/4 inch stock to make the 1 inch bushings for back here. So I need 2 for each side, 4 pieces of those, 4 pieces of those. And that'll be the last thing. And then the torpedo tubes hooks up to here, and then this other one is future nav light wiring. It's just a piece of tube running all the way out to the wingtip. So once I cut the wingtip out, it'll expose this piece of tubing, and I can snake the wires up through there. So I'll tie that out of the way, but these two have to be mounted so they can match up with the inboard section of the wing for the quick disconnects for the pitot tubes. So you got your pitot and static line. So that's what I did this weekend, is these, and then I had to come in and re-safety all these pins. Safety them. The bolts I had in here weren't drilled, so I had to buy some new ones like this, which have the hole drilled in them, AN3-5s. So there's 3 of them, so I replaced all 3 of those with those bolts, and then safetied them. So now the thing's finished. This is the wing that had the little damage on the wingtip, so I mixed up some paint earlier and I shot that on there to clean that up. So now what's all left of this wing is flip it over and do the top, because there's still just a little primer on the top of that one. So that's kind of what I did this week. So this wing is done, ready to go. It's got the same strip of wood down there. So again, all that's left to do is just cut the pieces of covers out of that, paint them, and I'm going to use countersink screws, wood screws, to hold that in place with. So I bought some here. So once I put that up on the bottom wing, tape it in there, drill all the holes, and then I'll take it off and I'll countersink. I'll dimple the aluminum for those screws, and then throw some primer and paint on them, and they'll be ready to go on once the wings are on the plane. So again, as far as the plane, I haven't really done anything more to this. I was looking to get this done today, but I didn't get that far. This is actually crooked. It's a little skewed. It's like wider here than here. So I got to come in and clearance this out a little bit here. I got to square this up, clean it up. But I'm going to make an aluminum door for that. And I ended up buying a piece of, I bought the piano hinge. So I got a brand new 3-foot piece piano hinge. I had to buy a whole 3 foot just to get 4 inches. So I got 3 feet of that. It'll get used up here and there. Then I ended up buying another pound of microballoons. So if in case I ever need to do any little repairs, which I did use a little bit on this wing repair here. So I got another pound of that to use. And then I ordered those 6 screws for the flaps and ailerons, I mean. So I ordered 10 just to have a couple spares. So that's kind of where I'm at this week. I just wanted to let everybody know that paperwork's in, and I'm just waiting to hear back from them. And hopefully they can get out here on a day where it isn't raining, storming, or snowing, or whatever. I'm going to see when they call if I can leave the plane in here with the wings off, if that would be all right for the inspection. Because with the wings open this way, you know, it'll give them room to inspect in there. Hopefully they'll agree to that so I don't have to pull it outside and assemble it and wait for them and then have to tear it back apart and bring it back inside. So they want you to open the plane up anyway for the inspections. So I guess that's going to be it. Again, I don't think there was anything more I did to this part of the plane at all. I do have to mix up a little bit of the dark blue, so I will take and address those screws there. See, I'm nice shiny stainless steel screws. I'll touch them up with some paint when I mix it up, because I'll have to repaint. I'll have to paint the door for the oil fill door there too. So once that's made, that's just going to be a piece of thin aluminum. I'll get that put in. So hopefully I'll be done for next weekend. Even if that isn't done when the FAA comes, that's not going to be it's not going to be a fail thing. So all right, folks, I'm going to cut her off this video off here for this time. And as always, feel free to leave any comments, questions, or concerns, and I'll answer them as they come in. And again, appreciate everybody taking the time to watch these videos and leaving their comments and stuff. And like I said, if I don't answer them, I always hit the like button, showing that I did read them. If there's any differentiating me from anybody else hitting the like buttons. So. Alright, I'm going to cut it off here. It's only like 4 o'clock, and you know the sun's going to be gone here in the next hour because of the regular daylight time. So we're going to be getting dark real soon. Alright, I wanted to get this in. Plus temperature's already dropping. It's down below 60. Tomorrow's supposed to be 60. Tuesday's only supposed to be mid-40s. So I don't think I'll be getting much done on Tuesday, because a little bit of painting I might be able to get done tomorrow. Alright, folks, I'm going to give her cut it off here, and hopefully maybe by the next time you hear me I'll have this thing inspected, or I'll know when it's going to be inspected. So keep your fingers crossed, and hope we get that in here real quick so I get this thing out to the airport and out of this garage. Alright, folks, again, thanks for taking time to watch these videos. Appreciate it. And I'll hopefully get to see you guys next weekend. Alright, so now this is Down and Dawn out.